All right, so today we're just gonna go into a quick deep dive. You see that one auntie that people always talk about having, or maybe your mom is that one auntie, or that one coworker, or that one friend, or frenemy, or whatever. That she's always just negative. She always has unsolicited advice. She always has judgment. She's always judging other people. If somebody gets a promotion, or I just would have got a new job somewhere else. They would have paid me more. Is nothing is ever good enough for people like this. You need to understand that they were not born like that. They actually used to be a people pleaser. They still are. It's just a more advanced stage. It's kind of like Pokemon. Like, you know how they start out one way and then they evolve and then they turn into a different form? It's like that. So that judgmental, pick me, Karen type of personality hybrid, like that very miserable, shame based, I'm gonna make you feel bad about your life experiences. Oh, when I was your age, I was this amount of pounds soaking wet, and I used to be able to fit a whatever the hell around my waist. Okay, well, you don't look like that now. So you see what I'm saying? These kind of people are the same people that will instill in their children, like I said earlier, maybe your mom is this kind of person. They will instill in their children this deep abiding sense of shame. And so you grow up, and as any normal child would, you seek validation from the adults around you, particularly your caregivers. And so if they're constantly shaming you, or they're constantly withholding affection, they're constantly withholding praise and validation from a child during their developmental stages, that sets the stage for the people pleaser dynamic to continue on in the next generation. And so what will happen is, this personality type, you're never good enough, right? If it's your parent, if it's a sibling, if it's a whomever, a boss, whomever, a friend, whomever, a partner, like I said, it could be anybody, right? And you're seeking validation from this person the way that you sought validation from your parents, and they didn't give it to you, and you kind of knew they weren't going to give it to you, like subconsciously, like you kind of could sense that they had a little bit of distance about them or avoidance about them, and that's part of what drew you in. Maybe you don't realize it on a conscious level. I'm not a psychiatrist or whatever, but like that's usually how these things go, right? And so you end up miserable, and people, you want to avoid this shame that you feel. You just feel ashamed for being, maybe you were made fun of for your appearance by your parents or kids around you or whomever, and you just have all of these points of shame about all of these different components of your identity and who you are and how you show up in the world. And so now, mind you, we're taking a journey through how this auntie is created. So this is the proverbial you, not literally you as whoever is listening to this, right? And so now you go and maybe you want to do this, maybe you want to go to school for this, but other people say you're better suited for this. So you go to school for the thing that people said you're better suited for, right? Maybe you really had a crush on, this person in school, and that's who you wanted to partner up with, but they weren't really checking for you, or you didn't make your attraction known, whatever, right? Or you perceived it as rejection. Because sometimes people will lament about not being picked when they were in high school, and this person didn't want me, and they'll lament about it, and then you ask them about it, and the whole time, like, you never even socialize with that person. Like, you want this to be a situation where they were the popular kid and you were the bully so bad, or they were the popular bully and you were like the kid who, the meek and mild. And while that might happen sometimes, a lot of the time that person just did not fucking know you existed, because you did not you didn't socially position yourself around them. So how are they supposed to know, that you were interested in wanting to socialize with them past a cordial surface level, if you never were even around them? You fled from them whenever they came around, talking about some, you nervous. They didn't know you existed, babe. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? But back to the program. So they go through life making life decisions that get heavier and heavier as time goes on, because they want to stave off that sense of shame, especially if it's coming from external parties. Like, if they perceive that other people will be disappointed in them or upset with them, they will do anything to have that not be the case, up to and including lying, betraying themselves, going against their own values. People do wild shit in order to avoid shame. I've seen people have kids they didn't want, like, out of shame. And I don't mean like non-consensual situations. I mean like you are the kind of person that would, by today's standards, be what we call child free. Like, you didn't want to have kids, and your partner wanted to have kids, and you're like, well, I want to keep my partner, so I'm gonna, I don't want him to go cheat on me, da, 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 and you have this kid, and it's just like, then you're miserable. So a lot of people are also parents, or a lot of people are also children to parents of the dynamic that I just described. And so this person is, they don't make life decisions. They don't direct and navigate their life from a sense of authenticity and ownership. They're navigating it from a sense of running from shame, which is kind of futile, because as people, you're gonna feel shame. Like, you just have to package it and file it away, and open the contents and learn what you're supposed to learn from it, and then throw the envelope away, the envelope being shame, and keep the fucking lesson and keep it moving. But that would require a level of self-awareness and a level of emotional intelligence and a level of introspection that is extremely uncomfortable, especially when you're raised in a dynamic. Because even though we're exploring how the this judgmental, shame-based personality is formed, it's not formed in a vacuum. They weren't born like that either. Chances are they had caregivers or significant figures in their life, in their upbringing, in their developmental years, who was like this. And so it's passed down from generation to generation, from person to person, from social situation to social situation, and it just hops like a fucking virus. And so eventually it gets down to, whoever this is in question for you, your auntie, your mom, your coworker, your boss, your partner, whomever, right? And so they've been making decisions that guide and shape their life in fundamentally large ways by the standard of other people, particularly from the lens of wanting to avoid shame. And so they're not happy, clearly. Like, nobody who's living their life like that and who is basically allowing somebody else to drive their car everywhere, the car of life, right? Like, you're letting somebody drive your life in whatever direction they want because you don't want to feel shame. It sounds, when you say it out like that, it does sound a little, it's like, damn, like, that's dumb as shit. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to handle this with empathy as much as I can at this moment. And so, this person, they come into contact with you now, right? Maybe you get a new job. Maybe you get an upgrade. Maybe they're paying you more than your last job. It's not good enough for this person. They talking shit. Okay, well, what are their finances like? Right? Maybe you're losing weight. You're going to the gym. You're toning up. Whatever it is that you're trying to do. And they're talking shit about your diet. They're talking shit about the way that you are, taking care of yourself in a way to bring about whatever physical reality you're looking for in your body. So whether it is you wanting to add muscle, whether it's you wanting to slim down, whatever it is, right? And they're talking shit. What the fuck do they look like? You see what I'm saying? Maybe you're taking better care of your hair. You're growing your hair out, right? Maybe you stop coloring it or whatever, and you're trying to take better care of it. It's growing longer. It's looking thicker. They're talking shit. I can see your clipping track. Like, your edges are gone. Like, I'm trying to understand. So a lot of the time, these people, who have the most to say about one's progress, they usually don't have anything going on in a similar arena, right? And they're hoping that by detracting from what you have going on, that the focus will be shifted off of their own perceived failures and lack of accomplishment in whatever domain like you're discussing. And so the central, I guess, like, point of this is that when you live your life from the perspective of, oh, what would this person think? Or like, oh, I can't do that. That's what other people can do, but I can't do that. I can't get away with that. I can't pull that off. Why the fuck not? She pulled off being a loser. She's been putting all of this stuff in your head for years. This person's been talking shit about you for years, or they've been talking down to you or discouraging you for however long. They've pulled off being a loser, and they haven't died from the shame of being a loser. They haven't died from the shame of having all of these unsavory life decisions that nobody wants to emulate because it's clearly destructive, and that's why they're relegated to having to offer people unsolicited advice that they didn't fucking ask for. You ask for advice from people who you want to be like. You ask for advice from people who you want to emulate. You don't ask advice typically from people whose lives are a dumpster fire. Usually this kind of personality, they always are offering unsolicited advice to people. Nobody is asking them for advice because nobody wants to replicate their life experience. It looks awful. And they know that. That is why they go out of their way. So how do you break out of this shame-based mentality? I'm gonna be really honest. Like, I know a lot of people will go the whole like, oh, you need to have compassion for yourself and you need to da-da-da. And I agree with that. I would just like to expound on the flavor of self-compassion. You have to shock your system a little bit, and you need to get used to being perceived as a bitch. Because, like, being perceived negatively by others is quite literally a people pleaser's biggest fear. And so shocking the system by not being afraid to counter and give people back the same weird ass energy that they're fucking giving to you. So you're not playing offense, you're playing defense. But you're doing it in a way that is also teaching your nervous system that you will not die if there is a little bit of conflict or a little tension in a social situation. If somebody is asking you an inappropriate question, especially in front of a group of people, you can just be like, that's a weird ass question to ask. Or you can ask it back. If you ask me, oh, back when I was, dating and things back in the day, oh, when are you gonna get married and have kids? Because I wasn't really focused on love. I wasn't focused on finding anything or looking. I don't believe in seeking experiences like that. I think it'll just come to you, right? And it did. And so back in those days, oh, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get divorced? You look mad miserable with your man. Because why are you asking me that? Oh, when are you gonna do this? When I wear my hair curly, when are you gonna do your hair? First of all, my ends, I just got these ends clipped and my hair is nicely defined. Don't play with me. I use my diffuser today. My hair looks very much good. Don't play with me like that. When are you gonna do your hair? When are you gonna grow your edges back? When are you gonna stop playing in Beijing dye and just shave your head bald? You don't have a hairline. When are you gonna put the keratin fibers down? You worried about the wrong thing, Stink. So you see how it doesn't have to be this big. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't give it right back straight like that. But you have to shock the system a little bit, your nervous system, that is, and show yourself that you will not collapse and faint and die, from, oh, my dog has hiccups. That's so cute. You won't collapse and faint and die from the weight of giving people back what they give to you. That is how you stave off becoming a full-blown hater. That's how you stave off becoming a people pleaser advance. The advanced form being a fucking hater and a loser. And that's how you don't want to end up like that one lady, your auntie, no shade, your mom, your boss, whoever it is for you. You clearly don't want to end up like her, or you wouldn't have been listening to this. So if you don't want to end up as the next generation of hater aunties, like, you have to be comfortable with checking people and setting those boundaries. It's really not difficult. People write all of these articles and guides and all of this. It's really not even that deep. Give people back. When some shit feels weird, you can trust yourself. Like, you can even ask, like, what do you mean by that? But you don't have to let people just disrespect you or make you feel as though you need to live your life on their terms or feel as though you need to live your life by their standards, because quite frankly, most of the time they're not really doing so hot in the same arenas that they're judging you in. So, and even if they were, it's your life. Nobody knows how to live your life better than you do. It's your fucking life. So at the end of the day, I just want to make sure, because I feel like we're losing a lot of great potential. I meet a lot of people who are very talented, very smart, gorgeous, and then they just have this spirit of like loserness hanging off of them, and it's coming specifically from this weird people pleasing, shame based, I'm scared of shame mentality. You have to shed that shit off. You're destined for so much greater. Like, shed it, get rid of it, cut it off. But yeah, so if you have any tips to help other people get rid of shame and move into a calmer place with themselves, I would love to hear it. I'd love for us to learn from each other in the comments. Take care. Talk to you next time.